Stop and listen carefully to what's happening now behind the scenes between Iran and America. If the global markets knew about it, they would collapse in seconds. Trump is sitting in the White House Situation Room. He is proposing new terms in this agreement, to the extent that he makes everyone believe that he is the one setting and imposing the conditions. Meanwhile, we find that Iran is not waiting, not begging. In fact, it is the one dictating the terms to the most powerful country in the world. How did we get here? What is really happening behind closed doors? And why is this day considered a turning point? Is June 11th going to be a decisive day? We have all the details for you today, but after this break, stay with us. Dear viewers, peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings. Welcome to today's renewed episode, God willing, of the Opinion series, which we always dedicate to following the latest developments and updates regarding the major conflict in the Middle East between Iran and the Epstein Alliance. This conflict has once again reached a decisive turning point in the geopolitical balance. Iran is once again proving how it has achieved a very high level of diplomatic maturity with its steadfast commitment to defending its national interests to the very end. The indirect negotiations between Iran and America are still ongoing. Time is passing quickly and there is always back and forth, but as usual, without reaching a final agreement. Iran always insists that it will not give in, will not accept any hasty solution, a solution that does not guarantee the future of the Iranian people. And this is the most important difference we see today, on this issue in these negotiations, and that Iran is determined to achieve an agreement that guarantees major gains for itself and for the Iranian people. Unlike the negotiations that took place before this war, at that time, Iran was negotiating over its nuclear program without having any real leverage. Today, after things were once again getting close to signing the agreement or reaching an agreement, suddenly President Trump reversed course again and demanded that some of the clauses included in this agreement be tightened. The American newspaper, the New York Times, said that after the US received the proposal that had been agreed upon, it once again made some changes to it and sent it back to Iran. Of course, this was done through the Pakistani mediator. So, as I said, there is always back and forth and time is running out quickly. The American website Axios said that the White House Situation Room held an emergency meeting that Trump conducted with his team in the American administration, and during this meeting, Trump gave orders. That is, to tighten the terms of this agreement, especially regarding the clauses that talk about the fate of Iran's stockpiles of highly enriched uranium, and also regarding the monitoring and inspection mechanisms so that Iran does not acquire nuclear weapons, and also regarding some clauses that talk about the Strait of Hormuz, navigation through this strait, and other matters. All of these are things or clauses that America wants to change in a stricter way after Iran had already agreed to those clauses. And with this as well, there are still other disagreements. For example, the dispute over Iranian assets, because Iran wants America to release the funds and the frozen assets, and wants this to happen immediately. They want $12 billion now, meaning immediately upon signing this agreement. Then they want another $12 billion, so the total is $24 billion. So do they want another $12 billion? And after a month, or within 60 days of signing this agreement, during this period, which is considered a truce period? But Trump refuses that. Trump says he's only willing to release $12 billion, but not immediately either, rather after a month or two. And after he makes sure, meaning after confirming Iran's commitment to the terms of this agreement, Trump does not want to make any concessions to Iran, similar to the previous concessions that former US President Obama used to give. Because from the beginning, he was always criticizing, the previous agreement, Obama's agreement, he used to criticize the concessions that Obama made back then. But what's strange is, honestly, there is no way to reach an agreement unless Trump himself makes the same concessions, or maybe even bigger concessions than those. Because Iran today is not the same as the Iran of the past, just so everyone knows. Iran today has gained very strong negotiating cards. It came out victorious in this war. So, it is supposed to be Iran that should set the conditions. On the contrary, America no longer has any leverage over Iran for Iran to agree to make concessions. So things are really very complicated, but despite that, we find there is optimism from some leaders, optimism from some media outlets. The American Axios website published a statement from officials. The American officials said that the agreement is definitely coming, but the only question is, when will that be? The agreement will be signed, but no one can say exactly when that will be. And this gives the impression that the issue is perhaps now in its final stages, meaning there is a very big battle going on right now at the negotiation level, at the diplomatic level, and so on. Because when Trump reaches his agreement with Iran, and for him time hasn't run out yet, he always adds other phrases to these clauses, changes words and adds phrases and so on, as if he's testing how resilient Iran is. Will Iran give in? Iran? So he wants to gain more concessions if Iran accepts these changes. And as for Trump, time hasn't run out yet. He will negotiate then and also act with other changes. Every time he wants to get more concessions from Iran, he does the same thing. And it's clear that his time frame is exactly set for June 11th, the start date of the World Cup. He wants to reach an agreement before this date, before the event begins. So whenever he reaches an agreement with Iran, and as I said, the time factor hasn't run out yet. There are still a few days left before this event begins. Whenever Trump pushes for more changes to this agreement, because he knows very well that he still has some time left, he wants to take advantage of these remaining hours and days. Trump did an interview with the American channel Fox News. What did he say? He said that he's not in a hurry now to reach the agreement, not in a hurry at all. And he said that America is getting what it wants slowly. He said slowly, but steadily and firmly. The reality is that time is running out quickly. That's a more important fact. And Trump will wait again for the Iranian response, but in the end, the agreement will be reached before the start of the event, and it will be exactly as Iran wants it. Why am I saying this? Because the Iranians know this game very well, and Iran quickly came out to respond to Trump's statements. What did they say? Iran also said that it is not in a hurry, and that what matters to her is that the agreement guarantees the sovereignty of the country only. It doesn't matter whether the agreement is now or tomorrow. That means Iran set 3 economic conditions and said it would never give them up, because they are legitimate conditions. She said, first, there must be an immediate release of these billions of frozen dollars, whether in America or in various international banks. She said, second, war reparations must be paid. That means Iran is still insisting on getting war reparations. And this time Iran has specified exactly how that will happen. Iran said that it will create a reconstruction fund, a special financial fund for reconstruction to strengthen its infrastructure and so on. And America should contribute to this fund, and perhaps all the countries of the Epstein coalition, as compensation for the damages of this war. The third point, she said, is the complete lifting of all sanctions imposed on Iran, including restoring its right to engage in free international trade and so on. Iran says there is no way to reach any agreement without fulfilling these 3 economic conditions. There is a statement by Mohammad Kalibaf, the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament, in which he reiterated that Iran will not agree to any deal until it is completely certain that the rights of the Iranian people are fully guaranteed. Today, there is talk about possible changes that could happen in the terms of this agreement. Of course, they are talking about wanting to add a commitment in which Iran would be obligated to hand over its stockpile of highly enriched uranium. They are also talking about the necessity for ships to pass through the Strait of Hormuz without imposing any fees. But it's clear that Iran, of course, will never accept these changes, because Iran, as I said, is negotiating from a position of strength. Therefore, it wants to take advantage of this opportunity today. It wants to use this chance to gain immediate economic benefits, and it also wants to benefit from this situation. From this new development, it wants to come out with a long-term agreement that gives it breathing room, a breathing room that ensures greater growth and development and guarantees its security. It wants this agreement to be ratified by the United Nations Security Council, so pay close attention. There is a statement by a former Iranian official named Mahmoud Wadi, who served as Minister of Communication. He said it explicitly. Iran is in a position of strength in these negotiations, and he said that the Epstein Alliance plan is what put Iran in this position of strength, because they miscalculated. And of course, this has become well known at the university. We talked about it in many previous episodes because of the miscalculations made by America and Israel. We can specify them, we can identify them on three fronts. First of all, that was regarding the Iranian people. They thought that economic pressures, along with these military strikes, with this war, would lead to the collapse of the people's morale and incite them even more against the state. Then taking to the streets, protests, then chaos, and finally, the Americans would exploit that. But what actually happened was the opposite. The Iranian people remained united and showed great solidarity with the state against this aggression. They were steadfast, they had strategic patience, and they contributed greatly to this victory that Iran achieved. The second point also concerns what? Regarding the leaders and national unity, the Americans believed that the assassination of the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, would lead to major confusion in the leadership, power struggles, and internal divisions among the factions present in Iran. But it turned out to be the opposite. There was great unity among all groups, and even more than that. And it means that there was no sign of any weakness or any shortcoming in the leadership. After the announcement of Mojtaba Khamenei as the new leader of Iran, the old and physically exhausted Khamenei was simply replaced by another young and strong Khamenei. The third matter was also related to the army, military and strategic capabilities, and so on, that the alliance, Epstein. It was believed, according to the intelligence reports he received, that Iran's capabilities were weak, that it was not militarily prepared, that it might not have enough stockpiles of missiles and drones, and so on. Moreover, they did not believe that the Iranian response would play out this way. It would include these American military bases spread across the territories of the countries in the region. They believed that Iran would not dare to strike these countries, the Gulf countries, so as not to violate the sovereignty of these countries. But in the end, we saw the opposite. What happened, the Iranian response destroyed all these American bases, and the Iranian stockpile of missiles and weapons was diverse and massive. That means 40 days of war. And there were no signs of weakness in Iran's stockpile, the stockpile. So there was a very big miscalculation. Iran deceived America, and it deceived the rest of the Epstein coalition countries. And before this war, it appeared to be exhausted and weak, not wanting war. Today, it has reached a point where the Iranian response has become decisive. For example, when America recently struck the vicinity of Bandar Abbas port, the Iranian response was swift. It was so decisive that today it caused a huge uproar in America. Iran carried out a missile attack on an American air base in Kuwait, and the results were shocking. I mean, American newspapers confirmed that 5 American soldiers were injured and a drone worth $30 million was destroyed inside this American military base. It was. And the message from this response was that the Iranian response was decisive, swift and strong, targeting the most fortified American installations in the region, and that this earth-shaking response, pay close attention, this is what's important, the Iranian message is that this response is earth-shaking, and it was inside the base, because the American shelling hit the port's surroundings without any casualties or material damage. I mean, pay close attention. Iran has moved on from a stage where it was always, subjected to American strikes, or Israel was carrying out assassinations of leaders and so on. Iran used to respond with a statement saying it reserves the right to retaliate, or it would launch some missiles, just for show. Today, it has moved to a stage where it responds quickly, decisively, and in a very impactful way. Even if this attack is not impactful, just a symbolic attack, that's the difference today. This is the message Iran wants to send today. Any escalation, whatever its type, will be accompanied by heavy losses in personnel and equipment. Also, it is clear today that Iran has once again rebuilt its air defense network, because recently American drones are no longer able to enter Iranian territorial waters or enter the Strait of Hormuz or anything like that, because as soon as they enter, they are shot down. This happened yesterday, it happened a few days ago, and it happened today as well. There was a statement by a naval military commander on Press TV who said that any attack on Iran will be met with a stronger response than before. So, Trump is truly still in a real predicament, because even today he is looking for any way out, searching for any possible victory, looking for any possible way to cover up. This military defeat and this strategic predicament, pay close attention, Iran is truly changing the equation, and it will completely change the equation. Today there is no longer any talk at all about the Iranian missile program, for example. Before the war, the Epstein Alliance was demanding that there were negotiations, because they were demanding that Iran get rid of all its medium and long-range ballistic missiles. Today, there is no talk about this at all in these negotiations. Today, Iran even refuses to negotiate about the nuclear program. Iran says this might be possible, but not today, not now. Now, the negotiations are about the conditions that Iran is demanding. Today, Iran wants these negotiations to proceed from this standpoint. And today, Iran is insisting that America recognize through the UN Security Council the name Persian Gulf as the official name, instead of what is commonly used in the Arab world, which is Arabian Gulf. So the whole equation is changing in many ways. The reality of Iran has changed now. Let's get used to it. It is now Iran that responds to American proposals. Today, Iran is the one setting the timeline, the conditions and so on, while America, the world's superpower, is the one merely responding. Time is running out quickly now. The World Cup is approaching, and the final agreement is still, as I said, in back and forth discussions. We will see how developments unfold in the next few hours. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings. See you next time.